Welcome back to the Sox Machine podcast. And again, we are recording this episode from the Blue Wire Studios at the Wynn in Las Vegas. I have to say, this is one of the most beautiful hotels I've ever been to. This is also, again, I'm going to keep bragging about this throughout the entire show. This is goals for me. Hashtag goals for a podcast studio. One day, Beefloaf, I'm gonna have enough room. Maybe my garage, I could build what we are currently in right now in the Blue Wire Studios here at the Wynn Las Vegas. And speaking of Las Vegas, now we get to the part of the show of Josh. Why are you in Las Vegas? Why are you doing this show in Las Vegas? Well, the story starts with something personal. That's Dude's Trip. Now, for a lot of our listeners, we are getting old. And by getting old, you have adult responsibilities. You start having kids, as Jim has quickly learned since this last November with Mini Margulis coming into the world. He's got dad duties. Beefloaf, you're a girl dad. You got dad
I
duties.
have a 12-year-old. Yeah, it's a thing.
So, with many of our friends, we decided about 6 years ago to do something called Dude's Trip, which we would take a weekend away from our significant others and significant responsibilities, pick destinations, and decide to travel there. And we started in Denver, and Denver was such a huge success that if we ever made it to Dude's Trip 5, we would do it in Las Vegas. And that's why we are in Las Vegas, or I'm in Las Vegas.
Yeah.
I decided to invite you.
I appreciate it. It's my first time being involved with the group, and what a great time it was. Dinners, everything, just terrific. We got a chance to go to the Circa swim outside and watch the games. That's an exciting environment. And, I'm not even into hockey, but the hockey playoff game was so exciting sitting at the pool there. So yeah, it's been quite a trip so far.
Yes. And you mentioned the circus swim. I mean, this is the first time I've ever been in Las Vegas. So for our listeners, you're probably wondering, how, Josh? How have you never been to Las Vegas until now?
I was personally wondering that as well because I've been coming to Vegas for 20 years now, so I'm surprised.
So we did the circus swim. So we watched the White Sox lose Friday night in, in a swimming pool at night.
Swimming pool, cabana, drinks, sun starting to go down. It was quite an
It
environment.
was a it was quite an environment, a very comfortable setting to be a little angry at the White Sox with how poorly they
Absolutely.
played Friday night against the Tampa Bay Rays. And then Saturday is I guess, my crazy Vegas story. Because whenever you go to Vegas or anybody talks about Vegas, everyone has a crazy Vegas story.
Yep.
And I always felt left out. I love listening to other people's crazy Vegas stories. And there's a lot of people who love the movie The Hangover, and they think
Yes.
that's like real life. And for some people, yes, that is like real
Close.
life. Yeah, close. So our crazy Vegas story is that on Saturday we went to the Aria and we had dumplings
Yep.
and Thai fun for dinner.
Delicious.
And then we decided that, hey, let's take over a Pie Cow poker table. And we were there for 7 hours, Beeflo.
I was not expect at this advanced age. I'll be 44 in 2 weeks. I am not expecting to be out gaming until 4 a.m. I'm just not prepared for it anymore. I'm usually I'll have the one night I burn it up till maybe 1 a.m. here in Vegas, and that's about it. I can usually handle. But we kept going and going. And I'll be honest with you, if we hadn't hit a little bad patch of cards there, we might still be at that table right now. We might be running late to record this episode currently. That's how long that was going, how much fun we were having at the table.
We were there for so long, they had a shift change at our table.
They did. They did, yes.
And we had other random people join us from time to time. They had bad vibes, though. So I'm glad that
Yeah.
they lost and they got out. But it was
Correct.
incredible. Like, none of us busted out.
No, it took that long for and you're right. Those are the group that decided to leave the table. They left without busting out. It wasn't until the very end. I know I busted out, but that's 7 hours. There's nothing wrong with busting out after 7 hours of entertainment.
So was that the longest for you ever at a table?
Easily, easily. And I've been with groups, group of friends come to Vegas, and usually if you can get about 2 or 3 hours somewhere together where you're gambling, that's a lot. And this was like 2.5x that. It was impressive.
Yeah, and I was on team ace high Pai Gow. So if you know Pai Gow poker, you're hoping that the dealer deals out 7 cards, and the best they could do is ace high. And then if you could get ace high and you lay a wager on it, you could get like 40 to 1 odds.
Yeah, that's
and I hit it. And I kept believing that because I hit it once, that I will hit it again. And I spent 7 hours trying to hit it again.
Josh, you got the classic Vegas sickness. All you gotta do is hit something of significance, and you're like, "That's my bet. I'm gonna stick with this bet." Tried and true every time you get so next time you come back to Vegas, guaranteed you're gonna be in on that because you're gonna have those fond memories of winning and also, being with other people at the table. It happens to all of us.
And that's a great analogy for Major League Baseball front offices, including the Chicago White Sox, right?
Yes.
This one thing happened once, and it's gonna totally happen again, and it's totally gonna be sustainable.
Right. Right, yeah, everything is gonna go exactly right, exactly how it did that time before, and it's all gonna work out. Yes, that is the sickness.
So while we've been here over the weekend, and I had this conversation in a previous podcast episode. Years ago, I visited Portland. That was Dude's Trip 2. And when I was in Portland, I was trying to get the vibe because the city of Portland has a group that's really trying hard to get a Major League Baseball franchise. They would like an expansion franchise, and they even have a team store outside of where the Portland Timbers, the Major League Soccer team, where they play in downtown Portland. They've got gear already. They got mock logos. Like, they're ready. They just need, permission from Major League Baseball, and,
They're
they
missing one element, they just need the team, right?
they need a
They
team.
have
Well,
all everything else ready to
they
go, no
they
team.
they think they have enough investment money
Yep,
to, draw up $2 billion to bring a team to
okay,
Portland. Now, while I was there, I walked away saying Portland would be a good baseball town. They would support the heck out of that team.
okay.
That's a market of like the Milwaukee Brewers. Is that attractive enough for Major League Baseball?
That's a good question, and talking about Portland being able to support Portland has always supported the Trailblazers, but basketball is a much kind of smaller, less frequent sport, and I know they also support, soccer team as well, so I kind of understand that. I wouldn't think MLB would want to steer towards those smaller markets because that's where they're having a lot of the problems with spending with some of the teams. It's a lot of the legacy markets that over time have gotten smaller. The cities that have sort of shrunk down that were in at the beginning, the Pittsburghs and the Cincinnatis of the world that used to be a real core to MLB, and now those markets have shrunk, and you have a lot of problems with those teams tanking and kind of not being competitive. And so I would think that's a concern for MLB is the overall market size. Whether or not you have a strong fan base following it, I'm not sure they care that much about that.
The one thing that was interesting that everybody in Portland, when talking to people, told me was Nike. And sure enough, Phil Knight is trying to buy the Portland Trailblazers
Okay.
to keep the Trailblazers in Portland. So if Portland were to get a Major League Baseball team, the hope is that people from Nike would be the big investors to make that dream happen. So that's Portland. Now, Dude's Trip 5, I'm here in Las Vegas, and we know the rumors have been rampant about the Oakland Athletics and their flirtation of moving and following the NFL team, the Raiders, from Oakland to Las Vegas. Now, we've been asking people, like taking surveys from property hosts and sportsbook directors and people who live in Las Vegas, and of course, cabbies. You have to survey the cabbies.
They're the most knowledgeable ones. No offense to everyone else and all their credentials. The cabbies, they're out there, they're in it, they're in the marketplace, they see it. So we got to talk to them.
So I'll start with you, Beefloaf.
Yep.
Do you think Vegas could pull it off? Do you think they could be a Major League Baseball city?
I do from sheer size standpoint and from the novelty of tourists coming into town. Oh, let's go catch the baseball game. Let's go do that. I'm not sure of like sort of the underlying long term fan base. Like they have the people, but the people are kind of spread out. When I was coming in a cab from the airport, someone was telling me that all the building they're doing in Henderson, in Vegas can be a little more spread out when it comes to the population there, and maybe that wouldn't be an issue. Maybe it would, but one thing that was also brought up to me by a different cab driver was um, congestion in the city,
Hmm.
especially with the potential for another stadium that's going to be pushed very close to the strip, and with already NFL stadium and a hockey stadium, and obviously all the millions of people that are just here on vacation in general, just to kind of the difficulties for transportation.
I agree with you about fans from other teams visiting Las Vegas. And I think that's where the biggest draw is for Major League Baseball. Look at Oakland. Okay, Beefloaf, be honest with me. White
Yeah.
Sox are visiting the Oakland A's. Are you traveling out to Oakland to see the White Sox in that series?
I am not. No,
Why?
never, because it's just not a destination for anything. Like I'm not just going there as a one-off. And I actually work for a company that the home office is in San Francisco, so it would be easy enough for me to just hop a flight, go work from there, and go. But it's just not a draw. There's no attraction to it.
Okay, so the Coliseum is just across the bay, though. You just drive over the Bay
It's right
Bridge,
there.
and it's right
It's
there.
right there. Yeah.
And you have a lot of White Sox fans for 4th of July weekend, the 1st or the 3rd. They're traveling out to San Francisco
Yep.
because they want to see the Giants stadium,
Yep.
and they want to see the
Beautiful.
White Sox take on the Giants, and then, maybe they'll see Carlos Rodon face the White Sox, which will be a bit weird. But you have
Yep.
a lot of White Sox fans willing to travel to San Francisco,
Correct.
but they're not willing to pay the $7 surcharge and whatever the remaining lift fees are to go over the Bay Bridge and go see the White Sox in Oakland.
Yeah. No interest.
Yeah, me neither. And the funny thing about, even if you want to go see the White Sox at Oakland, even if you're on, the pursuit of visiting every Major League Baseball stadium, flying to San Francisco, because that's where you have to fly into. You have to fly to San Francisco, and then taking a lift or wherever. If you get a hotel near the Coliseum,
Yep.
that's expensive.
For sure.
Hotels in the Bay Area are extremely expensive.
Absolutely.
It may cost you more money, Beefloaf, as a White Sox fan, to travel to the Bay Area to watch the White Sox on a road trip than it would be if the White Sox were playing a team based in Las Vegas.
That's true only on the transport. When it comes to hitting the tables, it probably would end up costing me personally more, but I get the point there. And also you have the added attractions of what Las Vegas kind of brings you. The normal tourist does want to come to Las Vegas. When you're walking around talking to people, or you're at the tables or slot machines, and you ask people where they're from, they're not just from all over the country. They're from all over the world. People
Right.
come to this spot from everywhere. And so it's its own attraction to start with. And then, yes, of course, there would be hordes of White Sox fans making pilgrimages every single time the White Sox came out here, no matter what time of year it was. Absolutely.
Yeah, you would look at the schedule.
Mhm.
When are the White Sox coming to Vegas? You have the balanced schedule now.
Yeah.
Everybody plays each other.
Yep.
In the American League, you visit everyone. I'm assuming if Oakland were to move to Las Vegas, they would still be in the American League West.
I would assume that as well.
So you're getting one series in Vegas.
Yep.
Everyone's going. Everyone's going.
And everyone here in Las Vegas should know that they can raise the room rates, because all of us Chicagoans are going to come here. We're going to fill their stadium for them.
Right. And that's been, the big counter argument is that, okay, Las Vegas has a team. They're not going to draw. I keep hearing that. They're not
Right.
going to draw. I disagree. I think they could draw as well, or if not better, than the Chicago White Sox. I think getting 2.5 million fans per year is an attainable goal. Maybe, the first few years, it's going to be 3+ million, because that's just how it is. Everybody
Right.
wants to go see the
Yeah.
new team.
For sure.
But look at the hockey team. Nobody thought hockey would work in Las Vegas.
Right.
People in Las Vegas love the Golden Knights. They love them. They have become diehards.
I was going to say you're right. They do love them. But I think there's a little bit of hey, that's our first major team. And right out of the gate, they were good.
Yes.
They didn't have a normal expansion trek like in a lot of other sports where it's bad. I mean, they went to the Stanley Cup Finals kind of immediately, and that's a great way to get a fan base built right underneath you, is just be a good franchise immediately.
Yeah. If you're taking to the Oakland Athletics, they're going to have to radically change the way they operate if they
Yeah.
move to Las Vegas with all the glitz and glamour and all the money.
Yep.
You're going to have to spend for big ticket free agents.
Right.
The ownership group of the current Athletics would have to change the way they operate, or they would have to sell.
But they have to sell. Right.
And it may be more attractive after you complete the transfer from Oakland to Las Vegas.
To move the team. Yeah.
Sell.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that could be right. And I think, Josh, you bring up a great point there about how you're going to have all these fans coming from out of town, and they're going to help fill the stadium. And you don't want the Oakland move to Las Vegas to be a pure private equity play for their ownership.
Right.
Not just an arbitrage play where they keep the payroll really low, depend on the tourists coming in and filling the stadium, and not really care about the team. I'm sure MLB, that's one of their considerations. They do not want that. If they're going to put a team in a new location, I think they want them to thrive. And like you mentioned, they want them to spend like the market they're in. And Vegas is a big market.
Yeah, you need the big tickets because, yeah,
Yeah,
the Angels coming to town. You're gonna have a lot of people wanting to see Shohei Ohtani.
absolutely.
Yankees are in town. Oh, you're gonna have all of New York. Same thing with the Boston Red
Yep.
Sox or interleague play with the Los Angeles Dodgers. Like people will come to Las Vegas. Drawing a crowd for Las Vegas is not the concern that I have for Las
Right.
Vegas.
And you have marquee players that are from the area too. You have Bryce Harper and Chris Bryant and some of those guys. Those
Yes.
guys coming back home. And yeah, that would be monstrous here. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you. It's not going to be a problem. That will not be one of their
I just think it's logistics, right? Where is this stadium going to be? It has to be a retractable roof stadium.
Yes.
Nobody in July wants to sit outside in 110-degree weather in Las Vegas to watch a baseball game.
No, they don't.
But look at all the beautiful hotels. Look at the Raiders Stadium.
Yeah.
That's an amazing stadium that they have built.
It is. And I kind of wonder if they do end up going through with this, I wonder if they'll have if the Athletics coming to Vegas would have the same phenomenon that the Raiders have had, where the Raiders have a lot of people from out of town that have bought season tickets. Like
Hmm.
the people investing in like, wow, that's going to be the hot thing to do. I kind of wonder if that would happen because I think it might. I think it might be something that we will see.
So we think Vegas is ready to be a Major League Baseball city.
I think so. Yep.
And yes, I know that it sounds like I'm encouraging the Oakland A's ownership to move from Oakland to Las Vegas. Yes, there is a big part of me that would love to come to Las Vegas every single year now, since I
Yeah.
have, scratched that itch. I've got that bug, as we explained at the beginning part of this segment.
Right.
I'm hooked. I'm hooked on Vegas.
You're in.
I need excuses to come to Vegas every year. It would be a great excuse at the White Sox.
We're out here and you happen to, we're doing this. Oh, yes. We're also going to hit the tables in the great restaurants and everything else.
We got to record a new podcast. Come down to the Blue Wire Studios at the Wynn in Las Vegas.
Absolutely.
I could write it off. It's a business trip.
Exactly.
All right. So we think Vegas is ready for MLB. It would be good for MLB. Would Major League Baseball be good for Las Vegas, Beefloaf?
There, I'm a little unsure. I just don't know that it's baseball becomes the type of thing in most of the cities where it's like embedded in the local community and local culture. People who are season ticket holders, those are like it's like your neighborhood when you go to your season tickets. We sit near each other
Yes.
at Sox Park, so that is like our neighborhood. We're all sitting there kind of together, and you see people that and you walk through the ballpark. I don't know if Vegas kind of has that or will have that if they did have a stadium. So I'm not sure it's going to have that feel, but maybe that doesn't matter. Maybe just put a good team out there and that's it. I don't know. I'm not sure.
Yeah, for Major League Baseball, them being ready for Vegas, I mean, you already have some fans that they are loud. They voice their complaints. We have heard it at Sox Machine. When we've had sports betting, advertising. They don't want to hear
They
it.
don't like it.
There's a group that do not want to hear it, even though they may participate. They
Sure.
don't want to hear it. It's
Okay.
in their face all the time.
Yep.
You have a Major League Baseball team in Las Vegas. It is in your face, whether you like it or not, especially when you play that team.
So, Josh, are you saying that inside the stadium you're envisioning slot machines,
Absolutely.
blackjack tables, like a craps table out instead of the pool like they have in Arizona out in the outfield? You put a couple craps tables out there, and the baseball could come and hit those. Is that
Yeah.
what you're saying?
That would be, first of all, that would be awesome. Instead of a suite,
Yeah.
cabanas.
Cabanas, yeah, I like that. Cabanas in the outfield. Yeah, just set it up like one of these luxury pools, and you're set. Yeah.
Exactly. But, baseball has already dived into this.
Mhm.
Every professional team now in North America has some type of agreement with a sports book. The Chicago White Sox have two agreements. Caesars
They
and
do.
FanDuel. And
The more the merrier.
it's really odd when you're inside Guarantee Rate Field now. You see the Caesars ad, and right below it, it's FanDuel. Every team does. So for those fans, I could hear them.
Yeah.
I could hear the Beefloaf screaming, "No, I don't want a team in Las Vegas because I'm already tired of this, and
Yeah.
it's just gonna, raise even more exponentially.
Right. Yeah.
And I'm already tired, and I'll quit watching." Like you'll hear that.
It won't happen, but yeah, I agree.
I find them to be the vocal minority. They are a
Yes.
very loud minority based on the numbers that we are seeing, especially in our home state of Illinois.
Mhm.
and the amount of money that is generated from sports betting, especially for Major League Baseball and throughout the entire country.
Right.
The thing about Major League Baseball, though, coming to Las Vegas, and the concern is, and I think this is really where the question lies, does Vegas want the A's or do they want their own team? Do they want an expansion team? Because moving the A's from Oakland to Las Vegas requires politicians and city and state
Sure.
financial backing.
Everyone's got their hands out to help out with the project.
Exactly. They need the stadium for free.
Of course.
Someone, not the A's. The A's aren't going to build this
No.
stadium. Someone else needs to build this stadium. Major League Baseball is going to have to chip in to help in the A's. But if the A's continue to operate like they have, I don't think Vegas is going to work.
Right.
So there lies the question. You have it. Major League Baseball has pretty much pressured the A's ownership to either you have 2 years to make Oakland work or you have to leave. There's no more waiting around. You don't get 5 more. No, you don't get 5 years. You get 2.
Make a decision.
You
Let's
got
go. Rip
2
the Band-Aid
years.
off.
Exactly. You got 2 years. So what's it going to be? And that's why Oakland ownership is pushing this so hard to move to Vegas. But how does Major League Baseball force a team that doesn't spend top dollar today at all to now you really do have to operate like the Houston Astros and the Angels in your division?
Right. I don't think you're able to do it. I don't think there's a way to engineer force ownership to do that. You had brought up an interesting question earlier. Does Las Vegas want the A's or would they want kind of their own, like a new franchise? Is that choice even on the table? I mean, I kind of wonder, like, do cities, markets even get that choice? I guess you get it in some respect because you could deny all the freebies that the team coming would want, but it might be your only opportunity to kind of get a team. So maybe it's how you were saying that the A's are in the spot where they have to make a decision, rip the Band-Aid off. Maybe Las Vegas would be in that same spot. Like, you either take this team that we want to send to you,
Yep.
or you get nothing. I don't know.
It could be that way because the asking price right now for the folks in Montreal that want the expansion team
Bring them back.
is like $2 billion. That's what Major League Baseball is telling future investors. If you want a team, it's going to cost you $2 billion.
Now, is that just the expansion fee?
That's the expansion
okay,
fee.
so that's to be spread out to
Yeah.
the other owners. Oof,
And Major League
tremendous.
Baseball then will assist you in getting that stadium and everything ready to go
Wow,
so you could have your team. That is a very steep price.
substantial.
But moving a team to your city, much cheaper. Well, I should say much cheaper in
Parentheses,
quotations.
yeah, exactly.
So the final verdict, we think Vegas is ready for Major League Baseball.
Yep.
Major League Baseball, are they ready for Vegas? I think we're iffy on because of the franchise that we're talking about, the Oakland
Correct.
A's.
Yes. If you thought you could get a gust of wind behind that ownership group to behave like a big market team when they become part of a big
And
market,
we're talking about
then maybe you
100.
play.
We're talking about, can you consistently carry $150 million payroll?
Right.
You consistently carry a $75 million payroll. We get it. It's Oakland. You
Right.
have 3,000 fans right now because they are boycotting you
Right.
with the way that you're operating your franchise. That is where the trust issue lies. So the final verdict is it's not Las Vegas. It all circles back to the way the Oakland Athletics operate. But since we were here and throughout this weekend, Beefloaf, I think Vegas is ready for baseball. And I think that would be a great move. We just have to hope that John Fisher and the Oakland Athletics, the current Oakland Athletics ownership group, suddenly change the way they operate.
I agree 100%.
All right. Well, that will do it for this episode of the Sox Machine podcast. Again, thank you guys so much for listening with this special edition as we recorded this out of the Blue Wire studios at the Wynn in Las Vegas. Huge thanks to the outstanding Blue Wire podcast team here in the studio, really helping us out.
They're awesome. They even made me sound good.
Yes. Yes. And again, as a PSA, we will have another watch party through playback Tuesday night as the Chicago White Sox again will be taking on the Los Angeles Dodgers as they visit Guarantee Rate Field. And if you just discovered the Sox Machine podcast, you can subscribe to the Sox Machine podcast wherever you listen to podcasts. as the Sox Machine podcast is a production of SoxMachine.com, your home for all things Chicago White Sox baseball and part of the Blue Wire Podcast Network. Alongside Beefloaf from the 108 and Jim Margulis, I'm Josh Nelson. Thanks for listening.